Hey everyone, I'm so excited for this deep dive. If you're listening, chances are you're the kind of person who's always striving for more, always pushing to that next level, even when you're already killing it.
Absolutely.
And today we're diving deep into this masterclass all about breaking free from something called the performance trap.
Oh, yeah.
And don't worry, this isn't some fluffy self-help stuff.
Yeah.
This is about unlocking your natural brilliance,
Yeah.
specifically for women who are ready to kind of redefine success on their own terms.
Totally. And this idea of the performance trap, um, you might find this resonates with you.
Oh, yeah.
It's the sneaky cycle where we push harder and harder and harder. We optimize more and more and more and more.
You get burned out.
But somehow we just end up feeling less fulfilled and just exhausted.
Yeah.
Julia Gaber, the creator of this masterclass, calls it the performance paradigm.
Okay.
And she argues that it's really, really prevalent among high-achieving women.
Yeah, makes sense.
She actually started this whole journey after this really frustrating experience where her male colleague was promoted right after she came back from maternity leave.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a wake-up call, right?
That'll make you reevaluate some things for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like running on a treadmill. You're putting in all this effort,
Yeah.
but you're not actually getting anywhere meaningful.
Right.
You're not really moving forward.
Yeah, and that's what I find so intriguing about Julia's approach.
Oh, yeah.
She went on this quest for wisdom, like she wanted to figure it out.
Yeah?
Drawing from sources as diverse as like Tony Robbins and
yeah.
neuroscience, like all over the map.
Wow, so she was really looking for answers in all sorts of different places.
She recognized the traditional playbook wasn't cutting it anymore.
Interesting.
So she developed this framework based on 3 pillars: clarity, compassion, and creation.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, think of it like a treasure map to your own brilliance.
Okay, so let's unpack these 3 pillars.
Yes.
Because they sound super interesting and powerful. Starting with clarity, what does that even mean in this context?
Right.
It's not just about being organized.
No, it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Clarity is about cutting through all that noise and all those distractions to figure out what truly matters to you.
Okay.
It's like discovering your own personal North Star
I love that.
that guides you toward what truly lights you up.
Ooh, that's good.
The result. You start making decisions with less friction.
Yeah.
You can start saying no to projects that drain your energy.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And you actually create space for what truly lights you up.
So instead of being pulled in a million directions, you're finally in the driver's seat.
Precisely.
They're calling the shots.
Yes, you have the steering wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Think of one of Julia's clients, a tech executive, who was completely overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah, I can relate.
By working with Julia, she pinpointed her top priorities.
Okay.
And she was able to delegate effectively and focus on what actually aligned with her goals. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Because you're clear on what you're working towards.
This is so good. I love this already.
Yeah.
And it's so applicable.
It is.
It's like right now, if you were to pause this and jot down your top 3 personal and professional priorities,
Right.
would they align with how you're currently spending your time?
That's the question.
Yeah. That little exercise alone can be a huge step towards clarity.
Totally.
Okay, so now let's move on to the next pillar, compassion.
Okay.
That feels kind of unexpected in a discussion about brilliance and success.
I know, right?
Like,
What's not the first thing you think about?
yeah, you think like hustle and,
Grind, grind, grind.
Yeah, exactly.
But hear me out.
Okay.
We often think of compassion as something we extend to others, right?
Yeah, of course.
But what about extending it to ourselves? That's where the magic happens.
Interesting.
It's about befriending that inner critic we all have.
Oh, yeah.
You know that voice that says, you're not good enough or you should be doing more?
Oh my gosh, she's in my head rent-free.
She's there. She's got a prime spot.
Yeah, but how does being kinder to yourself translate into greater success?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
When you're constantly beating yourself up,
Yeah.
it takes a toll.
For sure.
It drains your energy, it stifles your creativity, and it keeps you playing small.
Right.
But when you practice self-compassion,
Yeah.
you start to see your imperfections not as weaknesses,
Okay.
but as part of what makes you unique.
I like that.
It's not about lowering your standards.
Okay.
It's about recognizing your inherent worthiness. And there's actually research that shows that self-compassion is linked to greater resilience.
Oh, wow.
well-being, and even better
So
performance.
it's not just like a feel-good thing. It actually has tangible benefits.
It's a performance enhancer.
I love it.
So instead of that inner critic holding you back,
Yeah,
you're transforming her into an ally.
that's brilliant.
It is.
Julia talks about one client who constantly doubted herself,
Yeah.
despite having an amazing track record.
Mm-hmm.
By working on replacing those self-doubting thoughts with affirmations,
Right.
she was able to step into her power and take on new challenges with confidence.
I love
It's
that.
like that shift in mindset just unlocked her potential.
Absolutely. And even small acts of self-compassion can make a difference.
Oh, really? Like what?
Imagine writing down 3 things you did well at the end of each day.
Okay.
It sounds super simple,
Yeah.
but it helps you focus on your strengths
Okay.
instead of getting bogged down by those nagging doubts.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, now that we've covered clarity and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
how do we channel all of that into creating tangible results?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
That's where creation, our third pillar, comes in.
Okay. Ready?
This is where it all comes together.
Yeah.
Creation isn't about forcing things to happen.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into your natural flow of ideas
Okay.
and taking inspired action.
I like that.
Imagine becoming a conduit for creativity, allowing your brilliance to shine through in everything you do.
Oh, that's good.
You become a co-creator of your own reality.
It's so powerful.
It is.
This is where Julia's own experience is so inspiring.
Mhm.
She talks about how her impact expanded
Right.
when she truly stepped into her creative power.
Yeah.
It wasn't about working harder.
No.
It was about working smarter,
Yes.
trusting her intuition
Mm-hmm.
and letting her brilliance guide her actions.
It's about getting out of your own way.
Ooh, I like that.
And I think what's really important here
Yeah.
is that you don't have to wait for permission or
Sure.
some grand inspiration to strike.
Okay.
Creation can start with small, intentional steps. Think about one tiny action you could take today.
Okay.
That aligns with that bigger vision you have for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It could be brainstorming some ideas,
Okay.
starting that passion project you've been putting off,
Yeah.
or even just setting aside dedicated time for creative thinking.
So simple, but so important.
It is.
Okay, I'm loving this so far. These 3 pillars seem so interconnected and powerful.
They are.
But I'm also curious about how Julia's clients have actually implemented these principles in their own lives.
Yeah.
She shares some really inspiring stories, right?
Yes, she does.
Like what?
Well, she talks about Katie, who was struggling with the pressure to constantly over-deliver.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. By applying the principles of clarity and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
she was able to identify her true priorities,
Okay.
set boundaries,
Important.
and ultimately create a more positive and high-performing work environment.
That's awesome.
It's a great example of how these pillars can lead to tangible results.
Love it.
And then there's Jane.
Okay.
She was battling self-doubt, especially when it came to speaking up in meetings.
Yeah.
Through working with Julia, she was able to tap into her authentic voice,
Okay.
overcome those fears,
So brave.
and even start leading sessions and building meaningful connections.
I mean, that's a huge transformation.
It is.
It really is.
It just shows how embracing your authentic self can have such a ripple effect.
Yeah. And last but not least.
And finally, there's Lisa, who was feeling completely overwhelmed trying to juggle work and family life.
Oh, yeah. So many of us can relate to that.
Right. By finding her inner compass and prioritizing what truly mattered,
Mm-hmm.
she was able to create more balance
Okay.
and even earned a promotion.
Good for her.
Proof that success doesn't have to come at the expense of your well-being.
Wow. These stories are so inspiring. But as much as we love hearing about other people's transformations,
Right.
the real question is how can we apply these principles to our own lives?
That is the question.
Recognizing the path is one thing, but actually walking it is where the magic happens.
And that's where things get even more interesting. We'll dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh, can't wait.
But for now, let these 3 pillars, clarity, compassion, and creation, kind of simmer in your mind.
Yeah.
What resonates with you most?
Hmm.
What feels like an aha moment?
Hold on to that feeling
Yeah.
because that's the spark of your own natural brilliance waiting to be unleashed.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking about these 3 powerful pillars: clarity, compassion, and creation.
Yes.
And how they can really help us break free from that performance trap and unlock our natural brilliance.
Absolutely.
But it's one thing to like understand these concepts intellectually.
Right.
And it's another thing to actually like embody them in our lives,
Totally.
Where do we even begin to apply this stuff?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that we're all at different stages in our careers and lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you've just been promoted, maybe you're kind of hitting a ceiling, or
Right.
maybe you're ready for a complete change.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, it can feel really overwhelming to figure it all out on your own.
Right. And that's where the idea of a coach comes in.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, not everyone have access to, like, a personal coach. So what about those of us who are still figuring things out on our own? Are we just out of luck?
Not at all. Remember, Julia went on this incredible journey of self-discovery, drawing from a wide range of resources. And she shares a lot of those resources in the masterclass.
So instead of just daydreaming about our goals,
Yeah.
we're actually training our brains to make them a reality.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what about the emotional side of things? Sometimes, even with a clear vision, those pesky doubts and fears creep in.
Ugh, I know.
How do we deal with those?
Well, that's where compassion comes back into play.
Okay.
Remember, befriending that inner critic is an ongoing practice.
Right.
It's not about silencing those doubts completely.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging them, challenging their validity,
So,
and choosing to focus on more empowering thoughts.
yeah.
And if you're feeling stuck or alone in this journey, know that you're not alone.
I mean, sometimes we just need a little encouragement
Toe.
from people who get it.
Yes,
Having a supportive community can make all the difference,
it really can.
especially for women who are navigating those unique challenges of leadership and success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Julia actually created a Facebook community for women who are on this path of unlocking their natural brilliance.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a space to connect, share experiences, ask for support, and celebrate each other's wins.
That's so cool.
Think of it like a cheerleading squad for your brilliance.
I love that.
Yeah.
Having that sense of community and shared purpose
Yeah.
can be so powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
But ultimately, it's up to each of us to take ownership of our journey, right?
It is.
What's that one key takeaway that Julia leaves us with?
You know, in her closing remarks, Julia uses this beautiful metaphor.
Okay.
She says, the diamond within you is already perfect.
I love that.
It just needs the right conditions to shine.
It's such a powerful reminder
It is.
that our brilliance is already there, just
Right.
waiting to be unleashed. It's not about becoming someone else or trying to fit into some mold.
Nope.
It's about creating the conditions for our authentic selves to thrive.
Exactly. And that's where those three pillars come back, full circle.
Okay, how so?
Clarity helps us identify the conditions that support our brilliance. Compassion gives us the courage and self-acceptance to create those conditions.
Okay.
And creation empowers us to take inspired action and make it happen.
So instead of asking, what's wrong with me,
Right.
we're asking, what conditions do I need to thrive?
Precisely. And it's not about waiting for permission or for the perfect moment. Julia challenges us to start creating those conditions today with whatever resources we have available.
Yeah.
Remember, even a small step in the right direction can create a ripple effect.
This is so inspiring.
It is.
It's like we've been given a roadmap,
Yeah.
not just to a more successful career, but to a more fulfilling and authentic life.
I love that.
But before we get carried away,
Okay.
we need to talk about the practical side of things.
Yeah, let's get practical.
What are some tangible steps listeners can take to start putting these principles into action?
Well, the first step is to really reflect on what resonated with you most during this deep dive. What sparked an aha moment for you? What feels most aligned with your own unique brilliance?
Yeah.
Once you have a sense of direction,
Okay.
think about one small action you can take today to create the conditions for that brilliance to shine.
Okay, like what?
It could be anything from setting aside 15 minutes to work on that passion project you've been putting off,
Okay.
to scheduling a coffee chat with someone you admire,
Yeah.
to simply journaling about your vision for the future.
It's about taking that spark of inspiration and turning it into a flame.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Right.
Small, consistent steps over time lead to big transformations.
This has been incredibly insightful.
It's been fun.
We've explored the performance trap,
Mm-hmm.
delved into the 3 pillars of natural brilliance,
Yes,
and even talk about practical tools and resources for creating lasting change.
absolutely.
But there's one last piece of the puzzle we need to address. Mindset.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
How can we cultivate a mindset that supports us in unlocking our full potential?
That is the question.
Let's explore that in the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
So we've talked about clarity, compassion, and creation, and how those pillars can help us break free from the performance trap.
Yeah.
And we've even explored some practical tools and resources.
Absolutely.
But there's one crucial element we haven't discussed yet, and that's mindset.
You're right. We can have all the knowledge and tools in the world.
Yeah.
But if our mindset isn't aligned, it's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We might move forward,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a lot harder than it needs to be.
So how do we cultivate a mindset that truly supports us in unlocking our natural brilliance? What are some of the mental shifts that Julia emphasizes in the masterclass?
Well, one of the most fundamental shifts is moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Sure.
This means recognizing that there's enough success, recognition, and opportunity to go around. Instead of viewing other women as competition, we can see them as collaborators and allies.
That's a huge one. It's so easy to get caught up in that comparison game,
Oh, yeah.
especially in today's hyper-connected world where everyone seems to be showcasing their highlight reel.
Right. It's like the perfect Instagram life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But shifting to an abundance mindset allows us to celebrate each other's successes
Yes,
and recognize that someone else's brilliance doesn't diminish our own.
exactly. It's like we're all part of this incredible tapestry,
Ooh, I like that.
and each of our unique threads contributes to the beauty of the whole.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It makes me think about another important mindset shift, embracing imperfection.
Oh, yeah. Julia talks about this a lot.
She does.
She emphasizes that perfectionism is often a mask for fear.
Okay.
It's that voice in our heads that says, I'm not good enough yet, or what if people find out I'm a fraud?
Right.
It keeps us playing small and second-guessing ourselves.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's like we're constantly striving to meet some impossible standard
Yeah.
that we've set for ourselves.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, but what if we gave ourselves permission to be perfectly imperfect?
Imagine the freedom that comes with that.
I know, right?
We'd
Yeah.
be able to take more risks, experiment more freely, and ultimately learn and grow more quickly.
I think this is where self-compassion comes back into play.
Totally.
It's about being kind to ourselves,
Mhm.
even when we make mistakes or don't meet our own expectations.
Exactly. Remember we talked about self-compassion as befriending that inner critic. It's
Yeah.
about offering ourselves the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a close friend
Okay.
who's struggling.
So instead of beating ourselves up for our perceived failures,
Right.
we can use those experiences as opportunities for growth and learning.
It's all about reframing.
This is so powerful. It's like we're rewiring our brains
Yes.
to be more resilient, more supportive of our own journeys.
Absolutely.
But how does all of this tie back to our natural brilliance?
Well, when we release the pressure to be perfect, when we embrace an abundance mindset,
Yeah. And when we cultivate self-compassion,
right.
we create the conditions for our brilliance to shine through.
Right.
It's like we're removing the obstacles that have been blocking our own light.
And that light is what allows us to make a real impact in the world, to share our unique gifts, and to create meaningful change.
Precisely.
Mm.
And that's what Julia's masterclass is all about. Empowering women to step into their full potential.
Yeah.
Not just for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the world.
It's about recognizing that our brilliance isn't just for us.
Right.
It's meant to be shared.
Exactly. And when we shine our light brightly, it inspires others to do the same,
Yeah.
creating a ripple effect of positive change.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into unlocking our natural brilliance, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay. I love it.
Remember that diamond metaphor Julia used?
Oh, yeah.
The diamond within you is already perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs the right conditions to shine.
And you have the power to create those conditions.
Yes. You have the power to choose an abundance mindset,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace imperfection, to cultivate self-compassion, and to take inspired action.
So good.
Don't wait for permission or for the perfect moment. Start today with one small step.
Yeah.
And watch as your brilliance illuminates the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep
Excellent.
shining.